It felt definitely a big reminder for me, like how much I do know about this space. And I feel my energy expanding so much. Sometimes it's like a bit kind of scary, like how much I'm starting to hold. And I feel, maybe it's as a generator, I feel these opportunities coming to me like constantly. And knowing they're just going to become bigger and more consistent, bigger clients, bigger projects. And it's like, okay, can I stay calm and regulated and chill and just continue to receive? I don't have to do any extra. They're already coming. I just keep doing what I'm doing. Welcome to Cosmic Batter. I'm Carla, and I have no idea what is going on. This podcast has been evolving faster than I can keep up, but that's essentially what it's about. We talk about reality. What is reality really made of? And essentially, I don't necessarily have any answers for you. Welcome and enjoy. Hello, welcome back to Cosmic Batter. So earlier this week, I was like, I don't know if I have anything to talk about. I don't know if anything has happened in the last week, like to record another episode. So I followed my sacral and I was doing like other priorities and work I had to do, and I have been busy this week, and then all this stuff just went boom, 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 boom. And I was like, okay, great. Now I have quite a lot to talk about, things to share. First of all, I mentioned last week how I was considering studying music again, and this really lit me up, like made my sacral so excited. Like for many reasons, it would be fun to study music. It would be so fun to do it as an individual artist now, like so different to when I studied musical theatre, where I was playing characters and roles and like other people's work. It would be really cool to be in the uni environment. Like, yes, I did my diploma in musical theatre and I have other qualifications, but theatre was like, I guess like TAFE, and it was run through a dance school. So I just imagine it to be very different to a university culture. And my other qualifications I've kind of like done online, or they're shorter, or like, personal training qualifications were done online mostly. Anyway, so I really liked the idea for multiple reasons. But as I did more research, because obviously that's not a decision that I take lightly, like it's such a big commitment, and I wanted to see what else was out there, I sort of started to refine like which part my sacral was really responding to and what parts didn't actually resonate with me. So I love the idea of doing more music. Yes, I want to learn music production, which is the whole reason why I'm even looking at this, music production. Yes, I do want to sing a little bit, but also I know, like from my time in theatre and stuff, I don't really want to have to perform and get judged on it. And I don't want there to be any pressure on my voice. I don't want to go back to doing singing lessons all the time. Like I'd like to sing a little bit for my music production, but I don't want to be sort of working as a singer, I guess. Yeah, and then I was like, it might be fun to study full time, and I can, like, I've built that freedom in my life that I could do that, but do I actually want to study full time? Like, I don't think so. Like, such a big commitment. And I did more research, and I also thought, like, I don't really need to take performance classes again. Like, yes, there's always more to learn and improve on, but I've literally done 2 years full-time of musical theatre, plus more years before that of like dance and performance and choirs and bands. Like, I don't really need to do classes on performance anymore. I don't want to pay for that, Okay, and then I asked this women's group chat that I'm in, for music. It's like women and non-binary. And I said, does anybody recommend like where to learn music production? Because I want to learn it properly and thoroughly. I do not want to do a million little short courses that all cover like different sporadic parts of music production. Like, I enjoy learning, I want to do it properly, but I'm not sure if I should go to uni. And all these women replied, they did not recommend going to uni. They all said the people that had studied said they had fun learning music production in that way, but they learned tons of stuff that they don't need, that they don't use, and that for them it actually wasn't worth the cost. And money is such a funny thing because, you know, the cost doesn't matter at all if it's something that you want, right? Like an investment that's going to give you a return, it kind of doesn't matter what it costs, but obviously it matters if you don't want it. Like, you don't want to pay for something that you don't want because it will energetically drain you, and the money, it won't then be an investment, right? Like, it would be a loss. So it was really great to hear them say that. And someone else then recommended Live School, which is about Ableton Live, which is music production software. Anyway, it's essentially like a comprehensive course just focused on music production. Part-time takes a year, and like the pricing is more reasonable. And I was like, that sounds perfect. So I literally called them today, but that is feeling like a full body yes. So I'll be paying the deposit and whatever later because it starts next year. But I'm just so excited. So excited. And I'm so glad I looked at all the options and like really felt into how do I want to support myself as an artist. And it was interesting also looking at the universities, and I noticed I kind of had a longing, and it was definitely my ego to be like, oh, but wouldn't it be fun to have that experience, to be an artist at like one of the best music schools in the whole country, to learn everything, to learn like music composition and audio engineering as well. But then being like, but I don't need that. And I don't want that. Like, that's just my ego wanting to have something really shiny. And I guess it brought up the parts of me, like when I did musical theatre, I wanted to go to the best schools, the best of the best. And that's why that's a big part of why it was so hard for me, I think, because I was so focused on like, what is the best? Where's the best place to go? How can I be the best? And it would be bad to go somewhere that's not the best, and like really buying into the hierarchy, the perceived hierarchy of things. Yeah, and I guess like now I'm really tuning into my sacral, being like, okay, well, they might say that they're the best of the best, but it's not going to be the best for me. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm super excited, and I personally am glad I'll be studying that next year, because as much as I am doing a little bit of music production now, like right in this moment, I actually feel super focused on my business and like my healing business. And I just know music production will come. And when it does come as well, I want to give it time to like practice and implement everything and play around with music and stuff. And it feels better to me to give it that space next year. So that is very exciting. What also is exciting, like while I was talking to these unis and sort of doing research and stuff, one day I was sitting outside here, looking at the unis, like scrolling on my phone, reading, and then I had a friend from Melbourne, a DJ, message me, and he said, "Hey Carla, would you be interested in doing a gig in Melbourne, or like, are you exclusive to Sydney?" And I was like, hell yeah. I would definitely be willing to come back for a gig. Like, I'd always thought that. And with being in Sydney anyway, I am here now. I'll get a rental here sometime, but I am not attached at all. And I think I'm getting to know that this might be a fact of who I am, like actually quite a traveling person. I have never really been interested in having roots in any one place, and I see myself traveling the world and all that. So even though I live in Sydney now, I don't know, I could move next year. Like, and I see myself coming back and forth anyway. Whatever. So I said to him, yes, I'm interested, but like, it depends what the date is because I house sit. When is it? And it's November 1st, and I just so happen to have a 2-night gap in my house sitting schedule at that time. I was like, fuck off, that is so fucking good. Like, what are the odds? So I said yes to the gig, and he asked if I want to do intuitive readings for people as well, so to bring my tarot cards. For that, I said maybe. It really depends on the environment to tap into people's energy. So he was like, I'll give you a call. We'll talk more about the event. So essentially, it's a day party. It's actually going to be for Halloween, and it's at quite an iconic venue in Melbourne called Glamorama. And for me, as I say again, I don't care about titles or anything, but I actually like the venue, right? I like this venue. I like the vibe. It's a great place to dance. So playing there, it is like a milestone to be offered that gig. And it was sort of in my mind as, you know, somewhere I'd like to play. Anyway, so he's asked me to play house as like some of the openers, and he's asked me to do readings. I said, yes, I can do them during the day. I would just cut them off once people start to like, you know, have a lot of alcohol or whatever. Like, I'll know when to stop tapping into people's energy. But how fabulous I feel. Like, I've done readings at markets before, and it's very fun to just, you know, give people a couple of cards, and it's like more entertainment in those environments, although what I say is always legit. But yeah, it just feels like fun, and it is a good way to get my intuitive work out there as well. But I think doing it with the intention of fun is a bit more powerful. Like, I'm not doing that for marketing reasons as such. You know, like, I'm doing it because it will be fun. Anyway, but then he also asked me what had happened with the techno event that I ran last year. I did mention it on my podcast, but I didn't go into detail on purpose. But I ran a techno event with a friend at the time. We planned it together, and it felt super aligned for me because I got very clear on the intention. Like, this is about the music, the vision, bringing people together. We were supporting women and the queer community, which is essentially supporting like the underrepresented in the music industry. Love that. And, you know, bringing people together for community. And then we had a much bigger vision to build up the brand, all the things. Together, we got like hundreds of followers. I organized DJ interviews, and so we were really promoting the artists and it being something special. Like, it's not just like every other event. Like, we really care about our artists, get to know our artists, you know. And I feel it's so powerful to, yeah, like really connect people with the artist and why they're playing, because artists can like grow so quickly. They can also sort of leave the industry so quickly. So people need to actually connect with them as people, not just the music, even though the music is really powerful. And people want to connect. They want to see the journey. They want to develop a relationship with the artists, like to follow their growth, to see them succeed, sort of thing. Anyway, so I organized a lot of that, and I sort of like project managed the event because that's what I do. I'm so good at like business and organizing and understanding launching and things like that, and building the community, all of that. Anyway, we sold out. We sold over 100 tickets, and 2 days after the event, the person I was working with kicked me out. The short answer is that she wanted to run it herself. But she had a lot of reasons why she was kicking me out, and I felt totally blindsided by it, and in the moment betrayed. I realized I had been manipulated, and for example, I had been suggesting over and over again that we have meetings, and they were just constantly avoided. The meetings never happened. Like it was difficult to organize and get like proper communication, all the things. So I saw, okay, there were a lot of red flags that I wasn't paying attention to. So for me, I just walked away. I archived it, took it off of my socials. I just said, okay, if you don't want me, fine, no problem. Like I'm not going to fight to work with someone that doesn't want to work with me. And then like you can have the project as well. If you want it that bad and you would do this to a friend to get like, just have it. Good luck. Anyway, so we're not connected at all anymore. So I told him this outline. And he said that he really loved what I had done with that brand when we developed it. He loved how I talked about the artists and the community and the energy behind the posts, all of that. And just that he had been paying attention to that at the time. And he knew as soon as he met me that he would want to work with me professionally. And I said, well, that's amazing. Like, this is actually what I do. Everybody in the music industry, I normally just tell them I'm a healer, but I do healing work and intuitive work, but I business mentor, like especially on the spiritual side of business and being authentic and magnetic and clear on what you do and integrity and all of these things. And so essentially he asked me to consult for his event. Yay! I said, hell yes. Like, I was so excited to get that offer because it combines so many things that I love. And I feel it is really, like, I want to say important. Like, it really stands out to me that he wanted to work with me based on other things I had done. So that is energetics, that is magnetism, that reflects that I have been embodying my work and doing it everywhere I go. Like I have been staying true to myself everywhere I go. Even, we met at a like a DJ networking thing for a club, which I normally don't go to them, but I did go to this one. And even in those environments, I am true to myself. So for him to come around and say, as soon as we met, I knew I wanted to work with you professionally, even though he hasn't seen my business account, he hasn't seen my website, he hasn't watched my podcast. That is just so fucking powerful and very validating for me, very encouraging, very affirming. Like, I know what I'm doing. I'm on the right path. So I was super excited to get that offer. And on the call, I said, yep, I can help. Like, okay, what do you want help with? Like content, paid advertising, what do you want to know? And I said, this is how I would do it. Like, map out what you're doing and why this event is different. And I feel it's really important to tap into the long-term vision, because if you say to people like, come to my event, it's like, why? Who cares? Like, you can go out dancing any night of the week. Like, who cares? But if you say, come to my event because this is where we're going and this is the impact we're having on the community and this is my plan and this is why music is important to me and like this is what it means to me and I feel this about music and I feel this about my art, people can feel that and they want to come with you. Then coming to your event is important because it's a milestone. And it's not even about the event anymore. It's about the community and the music and bringing people together and the experience. Anyway, so I suggested that we have a meeting to like map out those actual details and then like I can recommend like a content plan, things like that. And he said yes, He said yes. It was so great. So great. And so technically that's a sales call, but it's like not salesy in the slightest. And for me also, I was saying to him, like, this is what I do, but it's up to you if you use it or not. You don't have to just because you've asked about it, right? So after the call, I then mapped out what I would actually offer. And considering like, okay, he doesn't know all of the business mentoring that I do. So what kind of offer then do I give to him, you know? So I mapped out 2 offers, and I felt it was important for me as well, and I could feel it in my body, like, okay, I do have to get paid properly though for what I know. And this might be obvious to you listeners, but like, just because he's in nightlife and he didn't know exactly my experience, that doesn't mean I do it cheap. No, like, there is an energetic investment that I'm going to put in, my wisdom, and that it has to be a fair exchange, right? So it felt good to have that self-worth, I guess, like locked into my being. Because, you know, a few years ago, I might have been like, oh, he doesn't know my background, maybe I should do it cheaper. Like, no. So I made 2 offers. Number 1, we have a meeting to map out the vision and all the things. I will give you content guidance for like each week and paid advertising guidance. Also super interesting that I'm helping someone with paid advertising again when I have like not like low-key been against it for so long for myself. But also I've been looking at paid advertising recently, so I'll talk about that. Anyway, an offer, session, map everything out, organic content, paid advertising, and that I would make a few videos for him as well. Like option 1, this amount. Option 2, 2 meetings. So the second meeting would be a check-in, detailed content plan with like all the hooks outlined sort of thing, like every exact thing that you should post on each day. Paid advertising guidance with more like oversight, and yeah, like a second check-in to like catch up halfway through and see how the event is running, and like how the content's performing and all that. And then that was like X amount, whatever. Yeah, and then that felt good to me. Like, I know that I can do super high level support, for example. I know that I can plan out the entire thing myself, but also I don't need to offer that level. He's also capable on his own, and I can just offer like the consulting pretty much. So anyway, he chose option 1, which is very exciting. And we had the meeting yesterday, mapped everything out. And it was so fun to have like a kind of pure business client again, I guess. Obviously, I've been talking about my healing sessions mostly for like 18 months, but I have had long-term private business clients before, like 3 months at a time, where we go deep into their business, elevating their content, their message, their authenticity, and elevating their offers and what they do and their pricing and all of that. And I sort of haven't like super focused on that for ages. Anyway, and in his session, something that stood out to me as well is I'd ask him like, okay, why is this event important? And what's your bigger vision with like the brand itself? And he said, you know, like, I want to do events more often. Like, I love doing them. I'd love to do it full time. And they're like, okay, but what else? But there's something else. Like, what, but why do you want to do it? Like, and if you were doing it full time, like, why? Like, where is that going? Which part of that is fun to you? And where do you want to go beyond that? Eventually, we got that out. And I won't say his vision because I feel like it's not quite mine to tell, but essentially to be running events like internationally. And he has connections in certain places and he knows people where it's actually not very far away, that possibility. And once you go international with events, you can sort of really like blow certain artists up by giving them kind of a world stage, like putting them in, you know, these vastly different communities. And I just thought like, boom, there it is. And if you want to be doing that in a year or like 6 to 12 months, then people should come to this event while it's still like super accessible and homegrown and like based in Melbourne and more intimate and smaller. They should come to this because it's memorable and important to see like on your journey of expansion. People want to expand with you. Yeah, and it was so cool to see how that felt for him. Like, he's suddenly way more excited to be running this event. Obviously, he already loves doing events. But how much more it means, and you can feel it. You can energetically feel the difference. And then it's easier to show up and make content that you actually enjoy, because it's not about selling tickets anymore. The tickets or the money is just a byproduct. Like, because you're focused on the big vision, you're committed no matter what, and you know now you're on the path for that big vision. It's going to happen anyway. Ticket sales, like, meh. Like, they'll sell. We want it to sell out. But if it does or doesn't, it doesn't matter, because we're building this thing that's way bigger. So, yeah, that was fun. So fun. And it felt definitely a big reminder for me, like, how much I do know about this space. And I feel my energy expanding so much. Sometimes it's like a bit kind of scary, like how much I'm starting to hold. And I feel, maybe it's as a generator, I feel these opportunities coming to me, like, constantly. And knowing they're just going to become bigger and more consistent, bigger clients, bigger projects. And it's like, okay, can I stay calm and regulated and chill and just continue to receive? I don't have to do any extra. They're already coming. Like, just keep doing what I'm doing. So yeah, it felt good. And yeah, big reminder that I know a lot about business. And what I find cool as well, like, the fact that I noticed my content for the techno event that I did last year. And, I've said before, like, my content isn't really about going viral or doing trends or anything like that. Like, I just speak quite plainly. And my content doesn't even necessarily do that well. Like, sometimes I look at my metrics and I don't get that many likes or shares or views or anything, I feel, but people know who I am. So there's something to be said there. I know on my journey, maybe it's like the Saturn influence. I have a lot of Saturn in my chart. I pretty much cannot post for engagement. It doesn't work for me. If I try to get engagement, same as like if I try to get money, I just hit a wall. But if I just post what's authentic and what feels good and what's true to me, I just draw in the right people. Right? And that would be, it would really be same for everyone, but some people are designed to, like, go viral, I guess. It's a different energy. But yeah, so more confirmation that, like, my method works for me, or it's like it's going to resonate with my people. Okay. Okay, now I did also mention there that I was looking at paid advertising again. So even before I speak to that, I had two friends visit me from Melbourne, which was so beautiful. My friends Harvey and Sapphire, they stayed a night with me here in Brookvale, and we went to the Manly markets on Sunday, and it was like a beautiful sunny day. I love strolling a market, just looking at like the jewelry and the art and like the skincare, just all these beautiful products on display. And there was something about being there. I just felt so like inspired and activated by all the abundance around me. And it was so great to see money changing hands. Like, obviously that's normal, but there was something about this market where I was like, people are fully buying the artworks here. People are buying the candles, and like there was just this constant exchange. And I reflected because obviously, yeah, I've done tarot readings at a market before, in Camberwell in 2023, and it was super fun. I really enjoyed doing those readings, but it was very hard work. Like getting to the markets 5 a.m. on a Sunday by myself, carrying in my table and chair and setting up and like the gear and getting food and sitting out in the sun, or like sometimes it rained and I would just like be sitting in the rain and then packing down. Like it was always just a really big energetic commitment. And I did it as long as I could. And then one day Spirit was just like, you're done with that. Like you've gotten what you needed to get from that, you're done. And I thought so many times about going back, but then the energy, it no longer felt aligned. And also I did think like, should I get should I take a gazebo with me, like so that I'm in shade? But every time I was like, oh, it's just so much more effort by myself and to carry that in, and then you have to weigh it down with Sam. And yeah, doing it alone I think was like quite challenging, but I've done that anyway. So then at this market, it just reminded me like, I know how to do this stuff. I have done so many things like to promote my business, and there's so many things that you can do. And I was sitting there having lunch. I was by myself for a moment, and I thought, should I be working at markets again? Should I be handing out business cards? Should I be like generating clients in this way? And then I thought back to my fitness business. I thought, you know what? I had multiple staff. Should I be outsourcing again? Like that definitely helped me to grow. And then thinking like, why did I stop these things? Should I go back? And it did bring up for me that obviously I stopped those practices for a lot of reasons, like a lot of valid reasons. But something that jumped out is like, I also was ashamed about my business growth back then. So when I had my fitness business, like in short, working as a personal trainer, worked like crazy, got booked out, increased my prices, compressed my availability. Like I built that personal training business to be so abundant. People loved working with me because it was super professional service. And yeah, I ended up making like really good money doing that. But then I was like, well, I'm at capacity now that I'm fully booked. And like I said, I compressed my timetable, and I even put like clients together and into little groups and stuff. And then I was like, oh, I'm at capacity. Now it's boring. Like I want the next challenge. So then moving my business online, and again, worked crazy hard, especially through the lockdowns, built it up, built a big community, hired staff, putting money into advertising, and it was growing and it was making lots of money. And yes, my clients were getting amazing results, but I felt stuck in quite a vicious cycle that because I had so many expenses with like paid advertising and staff and stuff like that, I literally had to keep growing to cover the expenses, but it was not sustainable, right? It felt like it wasn't stable. Yeah, pretty much. Like every time it grew, the expenses grew as well. And I know that's like normal, but yeah, I could just see like I can't keep going with that model. But anyway, my friends at the time didn't understand. They over time didn't want to hear about it. Over time, like withdrew sort of their support. They would question me a lot, and I'm not blaming them at all either. Like whatever, it was just the place, the time, who we were then, the environment, like lots of factors. Is that just sharing my experience of it. And I just felt crazy for working so much as well. And I felt often like I had to explain myself, like because I worked from home, everybody could see how much I was working. And in the past, nobody cared, obviously. Like I didn't live with friends. And then once I was living with friends, I had people sort of over my shoulder, like, maybe you should stop, you should relax, you're working too much. Like, that's not normal. Like, did you get out of the house today? Like things like that. And yeah, so I then had like a lot of shame about how much I was working and feeling that it was wrong. Now, that's okay because I was working too much, right? It wasn't sustainable. I was aware of that, like, catch-22. I don't know what that means, but like, I was aware of the loop that I was stuck in, and I wanted to change it. So the comments were unsupportive, but they also were shining a light on something that like had to be addressed, right? So anyway, 2021, changed my business, ended up moving back home with my parents, losing all my friends as well. Like, they weren't really friends at that point. Yeah, and then I sort of vowed to like never work that hard again, and that I would find a better way to do things. Because like back then I would work until like 11 p.m. every single day, and I loved it in a way, but I was like fully wired, so it wasn't good for my body, like really mental and controlling. So yeah, I vowed like not to work that hard. And so then, you know, the pendulum like totally swung the other way. Then I forced myself to work less, which was super challenging for my nervous system. Forced myself to like I started surfing, but I would sort of go surf and take the whole day to like drive an hour and a half away to get to a surf beach, surf, whatever, to purposefully interrupt like the work that I wanted to do. Obviously I started going on road trips and all these things I've spoken about before, like just to force myself out of that hyper fixated on work like mode and to start to change things. And obviously it did work, right? It did work. I did the healing work then around my nervous system, not being so reliant on work, like for validation or to feel self-worth. Obviously I stopped paid advertising. I learned how to do better organic marketing. And over time, my business has just gotten more and more relaxed and further into flow, which is great. Yeah, but then now being like, I don't need to carry that shame anymore. Like, I fucking love business. I always have. I always have, and I don't have to be ashamed of that. I love my work. I don't have to be ashamed of that. Although, now I can balance it better. I can support my love of work with my love for other things. And that's why I think music, as one example, has been so good for me. And like pet sitting, like I've mentioned, house sitting has been so good for me because it's given me other things to focus on. So I'm not getting my entire life validation like just from working. Like it's spreading my energy a bit so that things can flow. Yeah, so it felt powerful to be at this market, like at Manly, see all this abundance, recognize all these tools that I have, and then be like, I'm allowed to use those tools. And so after reflecting, I thought, I don't actually need to go back to working at a market unless I wanted to, because for now, I actually don't want to. And I feel like I've done that. I've had that business experience and I can move on. I did, though, in that moment, give myself permission to like hire people again, which I would do anyway. Like I just, worked with someone recently to do my website, which was such a great investment. And that took us a couple of months of working together and getting her support. So yeah, I like gave myself permission to outsource again, and that outsourcing or having people help more often is a really important part of building something bigger. Or even like, I just have permission to do that. I don't have to do everything myself unless I actually want to. Yeah, and I guess permission as well, like to think bigger again. And I've said this, like I am ready to show up more consistently in my business again. And I needed all of that time resting to do that. I needed Kundalini to absolutely humble me last year and only do basic healing sessions. I feel like I needed that to like get perspective, to figure out where I really want to go, to get like sharp on what I offer and what I do and why I love it. And Kundalini, I guess, meant that I could not tolerate anything out of alignment. So I could not do another course again just to get money. Like, if you're going to do a course again, you better fucking know why you're going to do it. Like, it has to be truly aligned. If it's not aligned, if you're, doing it from fear, no. So many things have been put in perspective, and now I'm like, cool, I have the tools. I have that inner connection, that integrity that I can expand, really. So yeah, that actually felt really big. Permission to outsource, permission to go big again. And with that, I mentioned paid advertising. So I've been thinking about paid advertising again for a while, not even really for myself, but just being like, I'm carrying this resistance really to it. Because after my fitness business, I used to spend like $1,500 to $2,000 on advertising a month. And that's where I was like, okay, the business is making a lot of money, but I am paying for all these people to find me. And I feel like my work should speak for itself before I pay to be noticed. Like, people should be coming to me organically, and that to know that what I offer is actually any good, and then I could do paid advertising, right? And because I had, as I've said, learned like pressure-based sales tactics and blah, 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 when I did fitness, I didn't want any of it. Didn't want a bar of it. So yeah, I was like, no paid ads for a while. And then, I've just noticed maybe this whole year, I've been like, I don't really need to carry that belief anymore. Like, I don't need to be holding on to this resistance that paid ads are wrong or anything, because like at the end of the day, everything's neutral. And I guess I've been thinking as well, like, everything is an energy exchange. So paid advertising is not bad or wrong, just like everything else. It just depends what the exchange is. And so I feel when I was doing fitness and I was trying to grow my business, there was like a level of desperation and survival and like really, clinging to money as evidence that things were working, right? And in my defense, that's like pretty normal for a beginner business. But so the paid advertising, I think, had like these expectations in it and this energy that was not like, didn't fully serve, right? And so the energy exchange then was like skewed, or maybe it didn't feel good. But what if instead paid advertising is like an investment into the self? Depending, in what context, but like, my work deserves to be out there. And I feel really good about getting it to new people. And then, like, yes, there would be a return, of course, of some kind, but without that pressure and the desperation, then the energy is like totally different. Because, like, similarly, with any social media, there's also an energy exchange. With YouTube, there's an energy exchange. If you're using the platforms for free, the energy that you put in is like the time that you use the app. Me recording this video is investing energy into YouTube. I provide the content, right? In exchange, YouTube puts me in front of the right people. Instagram is the same thing. By marketing my stuff through their platform, I give them content, I'm putting in energy, and there's an exchange, and then they show me to people, whatever. Connect me with people. So even if you're using the app for free, there's still an exchange. So I think I also thought, like, you can just invest into that exchange and possibly get more in return. Like, and it's still a balanced exchange. So if you put $10 into Instagram, it's just energy that you're putting in, and there'll still be an exchange. So anyway, that had been on my mind. for a while. But there was nothing that I wanted to advertise. And I feel like with a lot of my content, it's really important that it stays organic because my whole thing is magnetism. So I don't know when I would use it again. But I guess it was about like releasing any resistance that I had. And then maybe a few months ago, my friend Meg was running a human design workshop in Victoria, like in Melbourne, but she was hosting it out of the city pretty much. And at the time, she only had 2 signups. And I just asked her how it was going, and she told me she was really excited to do it in a different location. She felt intuitively drawn to doing it in a different location, like making the human design teachings more available to people, expanding her audience, all these things, and like, I guess, challenging herself by getting out of her usual area. And I said to her, like, why don't you just do some paid advertising? And it makes sense because I think it's great that you're doing it in a different location. Like, people there might need this information. They might have never heard of it. They might really love this. They might not have exposure to it. And yes, you will be getting connected to like a whole new community. Like, why not back yourself and do some paid advertising? And I said to her as well, like, it's so great to be fully abundant and magnetic and organic and just to trust that people will find you. But also, like, if you don't have any connections there, why not put your event in that literal location? Like, that just makes sense. Anyway, she loved that and she tried it out. She did some paid ads. I don't know if she ended up selling many more tickets, but she said she got more followers and she just felt good about it. So anyway, when I gave her this information, I was like, why am I telling someone else to do this? Like, maybe I should be looking at this. Anyway, so that market really inspired me, felt very abundant. I felt that permission to grow, to outsource again, to use all that I know. And if I wanted to do paid advertising. Then I had already been thinking for a while about doing a women's circle. Ever since I got to Sydney, I wanted to do a women's circle here, but obviously it just wasn't the right time. Like, I was in pain for months and just resting. And I knew when I got to this apartment specifically, it would be a great place to do it. I was here for enough time that I could be like grounded in the space, would have privacy. Like, it's a nice place to do a women's circle, things like that. But again, sort of like waiting for the sacral, yes. And then last week I watched a video, someone's energy update from an astrologer that I follow, and something just clicked and I was like, I need to do it about this. And the women's circle is called Activating the Subtle Bodies. This women's circle, I wanted to connect people to their, deepest, truest voice, the voice of the soul, which can often be very quiet, and to really connect to that and activate it, and like a massive energetic cleanse, clearing energetic debris from the auric field, clearing past patterns, old identities, all this wonderful magical stuff. So I wanted to do that. So I set the event up for the women's circle like that day, made a little bit of promo material on Canva, announced it, all the things. But the women's circle is on Thursday. So I only had a week to promote it. And I thought, like, that's not really enough time. Am I sure I want to do this? But my sacral said yes. So I was like, fuck it. And anytime I do an event, I'm like, well, if people do or don't come, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. All I know is that my sacral is saying yes. And, I know recently, like when I did the DJ gig, the pop-up DJ set that I did, I organized that within like 48 hours and just did it. And it was great. I also know, just for myself, I don't really enjoy long launches anyway. I just want to do it when it feels good. So yeah, I was like, I'll just do it within a week and we'll see how we go. Surprisingly, like, I messaged everyone in my community in Sydney and I got a lot of no's, a lot of maybes, and something about that, it just felt like a sign, not to quit sort of thing, like not to like throw the event in the bin, but like, okay, I recently have been thinking of expanding again, considering like paid ads and not judging them so much anymore. And now I'm doing a little event. My body said to do it. My body said it was the right time. And now my immediate community like might not be able to come. Who else then is going to come? Or how are people going to find out about this event? And then also honoring that I am not interested in making videos every single day. I don't do that anymore. Unless I wanted to, but right now I don't want to do that. So I was like, wow, I think that I am being invited to do paid advertising again. And yeah, I did consider it a lot, and I decided to do it. And so yeah, just put some money into Facebook advertising, and it was so interesting using Facebook Ads Manager again, which is more detailed and like kind of complex than just like boosting a post on Instagram. But it was so weird to be doing that and being like, I don't think I've looked at Facebook Ads Manager properly since like 2021. Like I have helped some other people with it, and I used to like track so much data from Facebook ads. It was so strange to be like setting it up again, like for the first time, because I have a new Facebook profile now. Yeah, but it kind of felt good, and it was interesting to stay detached with what I know now, and to be like, all right, I'm going to put this money into it because I want people to be at my event. I feel that this women's circle is going to reach the right people. I want to give it the best chance to reach the right people. I am in an environment that I'm not normally in. It's understandable. I don't have as much community here. And obviously I've been house sitting, so I'm constantly moving around Sydney. And I just felt like it just makes sense to like back myself in that way. And then if people do or do not come, like just staying detached, that it still doesn't matter. And when I did that and decided like what my budget was to put into it, I felt such a clear, like energetic feeling of being like, I am abundant. I have money to put into myself and into my business and into my business growth. And, you know, for so long, I've just been like pure organic marketing, and I've been very much in flow, you know, like just letting people come when they come, which I still do. But I guess now being like, I deserve to grow and I have the resources to grow. Yeah. Anyway, it's just for this one event. We'll see how we go. Right, and I wanted to add, because when I did the paid advertising, I felt like this is an investment into myself. I felt it was, you know, very synchronistic that it was the next day calls me and asks to help with his content and his paid advertising. And I just thought, what the fuck? I literally just put money into paid advertising, which I haven't done for myself in a long time. I literally just released this resistance that I've had to like one aspect of business. So now it's like, it almost doesn't matter about my event, like the women's circle itself. It feels like it was more about being willing to take that step for myself again, and like releasing the past experiences that I've had, or any, you know, negative aspects that I've had with paid ads, and now seeing like the higher frequency use of it. Right. Like I said, everything is neutral. There's no good or bad. And there's a higher frequency and a lower frequency, you know, version of everything, or quality to everything. So yeah, very poignant. Okay, and I just want to be honest, sort of, and share one more thing to like close this out. I was thinking before, I know so much about business and launching and content and really honestly connecting with people. I feel like the way that I do my work, you create like, it's like a long-term thing. My work doesn't necessarily go viral, but like people will really truly connect with you. Anyway, and I just know, I know how to tick all the boxes, let's say. And I know what all the boxes are, right? If it's like with your social media or going somewhere or planning. And this is also in my human design. I can't remember the gate, but I have like a gate of order. And I just know the perfect order to do things in, to get where you want to go, sort of thing. And like I said, I know what all the boxes are, but I'm just realizing, like, me as an individual, I can't tick all the boxes myself. Like, if it's for my own work, for example, I love podcasting. I now have energy to podcast every week. I love to make content when inspiration drops in for me. And I'll be like, oh, I want to share this, and I'll share it. I have hated content when I've had to do it every single day and mass produce it, right? Which I've done in the past. So now I'm like, okay, you know, considering what I like, is there a way that I could maybe tick more boxes to showcase what I know, to celebrate myself and what I love, but without doing it all alone? Because the more that I live and breathe what I know, the more that will draw people in as well. And it's not about promoting services for people to buy, but more just being like, this is what I love to do. This is how I'm living my life. I'm having fun. I'm both running a business, but also like I'm a healer and then an artist as well. So like, I'm not just doing a business anymore, telling people how to do business. Like I am showcasing my own art and being vulnerable and doing gigs and building that. Like there's more depth there. So if I can just do more of all the things that I know, more people will come, right? Does that make sense? My point is I'm thinking of maybe hiring like a videographer and then doing a content day, but having the video person capture the content and edit it. And what I would do, what I've done before, is like a self-interview. So you record and you say like, you know, what happens in a healing session? And I tell you. What happens in an intuitive reading? I tell you. Why did I start doing intuitive work? How long have I been reading tarot for? What do I wish more people knew about business? Like all these questions that I actually would love to answer and speak about. And it would be so much easier to have someone else record the content and then like chop it up. But when it's myself, like I said, I've made that content before, but it's a big time commitment. And for me, most of the time, my sacral is like, I'd rather do that. I'd rather do something else. I don't really want to sit down and record myself. I'm doing it right now. But like, I don't want to sit down and record myself answering 20 questions and then chop them all up and edit them. And it becomes like a super long task. Whereas for whatever reason, I love podcasting and I love editing it. And I don't mind that it takes me at least a full day to get an episode together. So yeah, that's that. There's more things that I'm referencing, I guess. Like, do I want to get a professional videographer? Do I want to show up in that way? And then I feel this sort of nervous, excited energy. Like, how would my business change if I was showing up more consistently in that way and backing myself in that way? Yeah, so I'll decide later, you know. It's something I've considered before, but now, I guess in the past, having a videographer just for something like that sort of content felt excessive and like not quite the right time. But now I feel like I'm doing so much actual work in my business and like cultivating my craft, and I want to do more business mentoring and more consulting, and that's the part that I love. It now makes sense to outsource like extra content. And I often, you know, look to people that I admire as well. One woman, Jessa Reed, she's like my favorite podcaster. She's a comedian, or like she was a comedian, and she hardly ever posts, but she does podcasts every week, and that's how she gets her client bookings. And she does have courses, but she doesn't like hard promote them or anything. She just kind of makes them, and it's like, this is my course. You can do it if you want to, whatever. I love that. Then there is someone else like Dr. Sarah Jane, who created Spinal Energetics, and she makes a lot of content, but she outsources it. She has videographers that interview her, edit them, put it together. I think they post for her as well. They post videos of her work. I imagine she has somebody who writes some of her content as well for her written posts, based on what she said in like her little self-interviews. It's just two different ways of approaching things. I love how relaxed Jessa Reed is. She has really inspired me in the way that I speak now as well. When I'm like, you can book a session or not, I don't care. That influence definitely comes from her. And it's so helped me to be like really detached. And then someone like Dr. Sarah Jane, she does have a worldwide, platform now, and she is helping people all over the world and taking her business, to a really big place. Like it's purposefully growing. And that is also equally inspiring in just a different way. Obviously they have different intentions. So I guess I'm feeling excited about all the tools and resources that I have, and now having that permission to use all of that for myself. And I now have the energy too, right? How it happens, we'll wait and see. I literally just posted to my Instagram and said, if anybody knows or recommends a videographer in Sydney, like please send them to me. If you watch this podcast and you know someone in Sydney that could do that video, let me know. And I've thought about this as well, maybe I can just keep podcasting weekly and doing content sometimes, and maybe that's all I do. Maybe I don't need to outsource that role. Maybe my sacral, maybe I will continue to receive more and more, like more high-level clients or, business projects or business consulting, as well as healing sessions. Maybe that will continue to come and I don't do anything differently. That's entirely possible as well. But I think at this point, I find expansion fun. Like now that I feel I have my energy really anchored and correct, I like the idea of expanding. And I like the idea of making content where I'm speaking and sharing. I dislike the hard selling stuff that I used to do. But just posting to share, that resonates with me. Anyway, I think I've said quite enough. Thanks for listening. If you want a healing session, an intuitive reading, if you want a human design reading, you can book a session with me. If you want business mentoring, I think I'll now create this as a separate title, but I usually just do that within a healing session. But that is available. That's always been available. I need to make that more clear. I do offer session bundles as well, which I more recommend for business, like having a couple of sessions. Session bundles are typically only available to return clients at request. I prefer organizing that via email. And of course, I have my high level private coaching available as well, which is by application. I guess if all of this resonates with you and you want to flip your business inside out and transform it and, really blow up, in the good way, you can do private mentoring. Yeah, and I should add that, if you want to work with me but you're not able to do a session yet, you can go to the shop page in my website. I have a free meditation you can download. You can get the Spark Masterclass for free as well. And then I have multiple masterclasses which are super powerful. Some of them are healing focused, some of them are business focused. I know in the Shapeshifter Masterclass, I talk about timeline jumping. And how to, change your life pretty radically. So that stuff is all made really affordable. I have journal prompts there for $11 Australian. So yeah, tons of resources available. I don't even know how all of these resources have built up in my business, you know, like at the start, it was just like, make a masterclass, share what you know, like tell people what you do, blah, blah, blah. And it was so overwhelming back then. And now I'm like, oh, I have so many resources available for people at all different levels. Anyway, that's enough for now. We'll talk again next week. Looking forward to speaking again soon. Much love. Bye.